Hello. I like to start the videos with that, a little tuning fork, so we can align our intentions right, make sure everybody is growing and learning for their highest good when they tune into this video, or when you tune into this video. We're going to leave it at that. Happy 420. This is Wednesday, April 20th. And so, I have a special card. I didn't pull this card. This card actually pretty much literally came to me by magic because I don't own whatever deck this is, though I might get it because it's beautiful. But my friend and beautiful spiritual being, Christina, I hope you don't mind that I shout you out, gave me this card after I had messaged her that it was a very beautiful card because it's all shiny and stuff, and I smoke a lot of weed. And she had said that she actually found this card, or it came to her somehow. She doesn't own this deck either. She owns a different version of this deck, I believe, but like this color or this particular printing or something. This card came to her too by a weird circumstance, and she'd said that my commenting on it, or she didn't say, I guess the implication was my commenting on it was proof that it was for me. So it came to her kind of by accident, and it came to me kind of by accident. And it's appropriate to bring it up on this April 20th. And so I'm going to read the reading from the booklet she sent me about it. So this is... I'll hold it up while I read it. This is Versatility. And we all know that the hemp plant is a very versatile plant. Pulling this card may indicate a time where you are coming up against a lot of resistance, whether internally or externally. I didn't technically pull this card, but it's the card we're reading, so it's the energy for the day. A lot of times we focus on one thing very intensely and push hard despite being shown that the timing is off. What can be helpful in those situations is to move on to other things so that the energy is freed up and you can go back to it when the timing is right. This card teaches us to be flexible and go along with what is being presented to us, even if it may not be what we want. Rather than trying to force things that are not ready. That was the end of the sentence. I just looked up too early. It may also indicate a need for approaching the situation differently. If you don't feel it is about stepping back, examine how you can shift what is already there. There's a lot. Well, not a lot. I'll read the rest of it. It has a couple of different breakdowns of 3 different things that I guess are all versatile. And I guess whichever one speaks to you is going to be the one that you need to hear. Maybe they all do. Maybe none of them do. I don't know. We'll find out. The first little subheading we have here is called a rat. The rat has proven that with versatility, you have staying power. Rats can be found anywhere in the world, and when introduced to a new environment, they adapt and reproduce quickly and are incredibly hard to eradicate. They learn how to thrive in just about any environment, despite it not being ideal. These creatures are skillful, resourceful, calculated, and social. Despite their negative reputation, rats are also known for their prosperous characteristics. Their ability to adapt is a reminder that with determination, there is a reward. I guess I read that when she first sent it to me, but I forgot about it. That's kind of interesting. I do have a few little connections with that in my life right now. I don't think I'm going to go over them because we got a lot to do in this video. But see if any of that resonates with you. The next one is the picture here. The next subheading is cannabis. Cannabis teaches us how to find multiple uses and benefits within a single thing. Our experiences inform how we view our present reality, and sometimes that means we can get into a rut or routine, not realizing all the opportunities that are available. Cannabis is a plant that can be used as a medicine physically, emotionally, and spiritually, but also for clothing, textiles, paper, housing, materials, oil, food, etc. It can literally be used for anything. Every part of the plant can be used, and for so many different things. Call upon cannabis when you need support in thinking outside of the box. Very, very true. I'm trying to read the next subheading here. Fluorite. or fluorite. Sorry, there's a little spot on my screen that covered the O. I thought it said fluorite. I was like, huh. So fluorite is a stone. Most people are struck by the shape that fluorite takes. It is commonly found in the shape of an octahedron, and in parentheses, shape with 8 faces. It can also be found in cascading cubic formations as well. This creates an almost transformer-like effect. It is a powerful air element stone, inviting us to shapeshift and create structure to quick-changing thoughts and mental energies. Fluorite aids in harmonizing air and earth energies, grounding any mental chaos. Call on fluorite as an ally during times of quick transformation and fluidity in which you need to remain stable. That's pretty cool. I think, actually, I got a little crystal collection on my windsill here. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is a piece of fluorite, because I sometimes forget the name of stones after I buy them. I think this was fluorite with some kind of epithet or some prefix in front of it. I don't know. It was something fluorite, I think, and I broke a little piece of it. I think it was bigger than this. But I have some fluorite. I have some cannabis. Thank God I don't have any rats. Maybe that was interesting to you. I thought that was really cool. It is definitely a great aid in spirituality and physically and emotionally. It's a fantastic medicine and a very versatile tool and resource that we can make pretty much anything out of. I think a lot of people have heard that Henry Ford made an entire car out of hemp. I don't know if the engine was made out of hemp too, but at least the car was. So it's that versatile. You could definitely make houses out of it. I think they already listed you can make paper and oils and whatever. Like it can pretty much replace most building materials that we have in use here now. And I think for the most part, it's preferable to a lot of those things because it is incredibly renewable, because it's an incredibly easy to grow plant and grows in almost all environments, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And it also makes us feel great. There's nothing wrong with that either. So let's all celebrate the versatility of a lot of our favorite plants, probably. I know it's one of my favorite plants, cannabis. Happy 420. Now, before I get into the reading today, which is going to be the next chapter of Each Moment is the Universe, chapter 8, I'm going to open with another reading from the Tao Te Cing. I guess we have something of a format developing here, because last video I kind of threw together a card reading and a Tao reading before the actual reading, so maybe this is the format now. So let's go with this. This one I'm not opening randomly. I opened it randomly this morning, but it is now carefully selected for this video. This is 46. When the Tao is present in the universe, the horses haul manure. When the Tao is absent from the universe, war horses are bred outside the city. There is no greater sin than craving, no greater curse than discontent, no greater misfortune than wanting something for ourselves. Therefore, those who know that enough is enough will always have enough. The Tao Te Cing is always amazingly insightful and beautiful. But I find, in particular, what is called oracle mancy or oracle reading is just picking a book, especially a spiritual book, opening to a random page, reading what it says, and realizing how it applies to your life right now. The Tao Te Cing might arguably be one of the best books to do that with, though I'm biased because I love its content. But the poems are pretty short. They're incredibly spiritual, and they can mean a billion different things depending on where you're at, physically, mentally, and spiritually when you're reading them. So that one really spoke to me this morning because I'm really getting the sense in my life personally, which means since we're all a collective and we're all connected, probably a lot of us in the collective, which means Earth, humanity right now, probably a lot of us are dealing with the idea that the life we have pictured for ourselves, or the life we've planned out for ourselves, is a very uphill battle, or it can seem that way depending on where you're at. And for a lot of us who are just tuning into a new way of being, what Brian Scott calls the reality revolution. I love Brian Scott. Check out his channel if you haven't already. We're in the midst of a reality revolution right now. And it feels like in my life personally, a lot of my creations like where I live, the thing I do for a living, like whatever it is, I'm always breeding war horses outside of my city because I really need to protect everything. I need everything to go smoothly and exactly the way that I want it to go. And it's an incredible amount of effort, and it requires an incredible amount of vigilance and being on guard and making sure that everything is going smoothly. And if it's not, I'm on top of it. This is what I view this poem to mean when it says war horses are bred outside. There's something not right. There's a lot of malicious effort being put into something. And when the Tao is present in the universe, which means when the Tao is present in our lives, I'll wait for that siren to go because I don't know if you can pick it up. When the Tao is present in the universe, which means if the Tao is present in our lives, the horses haul manure, which means that they're performing a very simple, basic, humble function to prosper life and plants and growth. And that's really what we want to be doing in our lives. Well, that's really what I want to be doing in my life. I can't speak for everybody, but I would love my life to be a reflection of the Tao, which is the way, which is the effortless unfoldment of the universe. And the only way we can do that is by being receptive to it, which is why Lao Tzu says after that, there is no greater sin than craving, no greater curse than discontent. Because we are already one, we are already in the midst of this beautiful ocean of love that is the universe. And to be discontent or to be craving means to not acknowledge that that's already what's happening and that you think that something else needs to be happening because you're separate and you need to breed war horses in order to get your way. I don't believe this to be the case, personally. Lao Tzu didn't believe this to be the case. All the teachers that I really find a lot of meaning in didn't seem to think that it was the case that you really had to get a stranglehold on your life and on everybody and everything in it. And the idea was kind of that when you relax and receive and let everything that's in your life happen and unfold naturally, you will be very amazed at the fact that there is an infinite organic intelligence, not only on this planet, but in the entire universe, that is informing every single aspect of your life, thought, word, and deed. And gratitude is the way to be receptive to it and to tune into it and to become one with it. That's my thing on that. Now, we're going to begin the reading, and I will take a breath to prepare myself for that. So we're going to get into it. Chapter 8, Each Moment is the Universe by Dainin Katagiri. Fundamental suffering as truth. Human life is contradictory. We accept our lives and make an effort to live because there is continuation, but we are never satisfied because there is also discontinuation. A human being experiences contradiction in life, but an animal never does. If a lion wants to eat a horse, there is no question about whether it is right. The lion needs to eat the lion needs to eat the horse to support his life, so there is no contradiction there. But when a human being wants to eat something, we do research. Maybe it's right to eat meat, maybe it's not right. No matter how long we try to find the right reasons for something, there are still questions. This conflicting state of human life gives rise to reflection. Whatever answer we find, we reflect on it and ask, is that right? Or are you sure? Human life is complicated, so we never find a completely satisfactory answer. Everybody experiences reflection. It is natural. Reflection is a characteristic of human beings, and we suffer because of it. Saying that human beings suffer because of reflection means that we are never satisfied. Yet for human beings, there is no escape from reflection. Whether we like it or not, suffering is present in our life, because human beings have a consciousness that makes us reflect upon ourselves. Self-reflection makes you think who you are. How does suffering come from reflection? From the point of view of time as impermanence, to reflect is to rebound. It means to arise from the source of existence and appear as a human being. Moment after moment, we reflect when we rebound from the pure, clear basis of existence and appear as particular beings in the phenomenal world. Because of constant reflection, we feel that we exist as separate beings, and then we want to know the source of our being. We want to know it, but the source cannot be grasped by our human consciousness, so we are dissatisfied and we suffer. This deep aspect of dukkha, which is, he said earlier, I don't know if it was in the last chapter or the chapter before, that is the Sanskrit word for suffering. It is as it is usually translated, but he says there's another translation by the Dalai Lama. It translates this word of dukkha as unsatisfactoriness. So this deepest aspect of dukkha, this deepest aspect of unsatisfactoriness in our lives, is not exactly the same as the suffering you can see in everyday life. It comes from an unconscious effort to investigate the roots of consciousness itself. Human beings reflect constantly, so there is always suffering. You cannot get rid of human consciousness. As long as you find an idea of yourself, you find the functioning of human consciousness. This is why we say that human life is characterized by suffering. On the other hand, reflection deepens or enhances your life because it lets you go beyond the reality of your daily life. What causes reflection to constantly deepen your life? It is truth, the original nature of existence, which is called Dharma. In the Tao Te Cing that I just read, that would also be Tao. I think he also said in the last chapter that it's the same thing. Dharma creates reflection, and reflection creates suffering and pain. But that suffering gives you many chances to investigate the root of your life and deepen your life in the Dharma. That's why the Buddha said that suffering is truth. Can you accept all cases of suffering as truth? You cannot say, but still you have to do something with your suffering. In the realm of impermanence, you have to take care of suffering as truth. Because of suffering, you can learn something. That's actually very important. To learn is not to get something from an object that is separate from you. To learn is to be one with truth itself. When that happens, consciously or unconsciously, you rebound. You touch the truth that is always present at the depth of your life, and then you bounce. Rebounding is just like water coming up from the ground, filling the bottle of your life. It's a funny thing to say, but your life is like a big bottle. All you have to do is fill this empty bottle with wisdom. How? Constantly try to realize the depth of human life. Accept the fact that whatever you do, wherever you live, under all circumstances, you have a chance to realize the truth. With sincerity, try to realize the ultimate nature of your actions, bowing, studying, talking, or whatever it is that you do. When you bow in gasso, just do gasso through and through. I haven't read the first few chapters of this book in a little bit, but I think he translates gasso. But or maybe he didn't, and I just looked it up when I originally wrote this. But gasso is, if I remember correctly, a specific type of bowing that monks do, or just it's like a spiritual type of bowing where it's essentially like a namaste, where it's very deeply recognizing the divine within somebody or within yourself. So when you bow in gasso, just do gasso through and through. If you really do this, you can touch the ultimate truth. Then through gasso you learn something. By the thoroughgoing practice of gasso, you return to the truth. And simultaneously gasso rebounds in the form of your life. Maybe you don't understand this now, but gasso helps people and deepens and enhances your life. If you realize the bottom of suffering, you will find egolessness and emptiness there. At that time, impermanence turns into the truth. That is the experience called wisdom. Wisdom is a very deep, profound knowing. It is wonderful, but you cannot stay with the truth you touched because you must be right on the flow of impermanence, constantly one with the moment. If you stay, you die. Your life becomes stagnant water. That's not the end of the chapter, but I just want to take a brief pause here to say that this has been a theme that's been recurring a lot in the podcasts and audiobooks and books and everything that I've been engaging with lately, is this idea that time is constant change, life is constant change, and trying to hold on to something that just happened, good, bad, or indifferent, is kind of like stagnating or bottlenecking the very fluid like change that is always happening in the universe. And that it always wants to be known and move through you, known and move through you. Let it be seen, let it move through you. It's here, it's gone. But so many of us think it's here. We have to build walls and construct turrets and barracks, and we have to really guard this little thing that popped up because it's great, and if it goes away it's going to be terrible. And then we like surmount this fear that whatever just appeared is going to be gone, or if it's terrible, we breed the war horses and we start going to war so we can get something better. And the idea is that whatever is popping up, good, bad, or indifferent, is just a thing that's happening right now. And if you acknowledge it and let it go, there's going to be something different happening right now. But it is your choice as a being with free will to engage with what's happening right now like it's permanent and forever, and do whatever you want with that. But there's always an atonement, because you cannot hide from truth forever. Even if it takes many years, that huge wall that you've built around this one little moment that you've been told is supposed to be forever will crumble, even if it takes 1,000,000 years. And the higher that tower has been built, the higher the fall is going to be. I'll break my interlude there and resume. So Dainin Katagiri continues. So when you touch and deeply understand impermanence, you don't stay with it. How do you not stay? Bounce. Touch it and bounce. To bounce is to rebound and then reflect egolessness and emptiness in your human body and mind. If you try to stay with it, you become crazy, so you cannot stay. He's very right about that. In Zazen, people sometimes feel that they are going down into an unfathomable abyss, or the opposite, rising high in the air. Then they are scared because they seem to disappear. So if you touch something, don't stay with it. Touch the moment and bounce. Keep moving. Touching the moment means touching truth. When you are touching the moment, you don't know it because there is no sense of you there. What you know is after the bounce. When you touch emptiness, you touch one side of a kind of partition. After bouncing, you touch the dualistic world on the other side. And I have a little annotation here, so I guess this might be important. That's why Dogen Zenji said, when one appears, the other one is in darkness. As long as you touch the moment, it's wisdom. When you return to the dualistic side and know that you touched it, it's not wisdom, it's faith. In the dualistic world, wisdom turns into faith. I'm glad I annotated that because that was significant. Living in the Dharma means that we are constantly bouncing. This is our practice. In Zazen, you experience birth and death directly. Every single moment is birth and death, bounce, birth and death, bounce, constantly working. That is why bodhisattvas practice constantly. Continual practice means you are vivified. Your life is really alive in the realm of Dharma. To be free from suffering, with your body, just do Zazen. With your mind, think deeply. Look at the wonderful beauty of the world. See something more than the human world. You can see that beautiful world because you are already there. Practice this, and finally, you can realize the truth, because truth is not something separate from your life. It is important to deeply understand human suffering, because suffering and pain never go away. The more you practice spiritual life, the more you realize this. The more you try to live in peace and harmony, the more you see how egotistical and selfish you are. Yep. The deeper you go, the more you see the minute vibration of suffering coming up from the depths of your heart. It is true in every religion. If you pray to God with sincerity, you still suffer. Even though you attain enlightenment, suffering and pain are still there in your life. I think that is a very important thing to note. But where was I? Suffering and pain are still there in your life, but that's all right. Just like everything that exists in the phenomenal world, your suffering is a being that arises from the original nature of existence, and every moment it returns to its source. So when you see suffering, all you have to do is accept it and offer your body and mind to ultimate existence. Then you and suffering return to emptiness, and there is freedom from suffering. I felt the tingles on that one. I felt my vibration shift after I finished that one. So my digestion of that, it's a little hard to digest what you're reading while you're reading it out loud, even though I've read this book before and I get the general gist of what he's talking about. I'm learning now, as I'm making these videos and beginning to read on these videos, that I should do a little reading before I read them aloud, because I want the information to be really with me instead of just kind of passing by as I'm reading it out loud. But the real depth of what he's talking about here, which is something a lot of you actually might be experiencing right now, because that's just kind of what's going on in the world right now, is this idea that when you practice Zazen, or Zen, he says Zazen because I guess that's what they do with the Zen center he was at. It's a specific kind of meditation. But in general, just Zen or practice or enlightenment, or even just trying to live a better, more aligned with truth life, you'll notice that at times it can be kind of scary. It feels like dissolving into this flowy river in a way. And it's scary because you used to know yourself as separate from a river. You used to know yourself as breeding war horses on the common next to the river and damming up the river and saying, this is my water, and anybody who comes near it either has to pay or I will kill you. This is the mindset we're moving out of in this reality, in this time, in space, or in this space and time. That is what's happening right now, and it's a very confusing, bizarre world with a lot of stuff going on right now. And as he's saying, suffering is our greatest teacher. Even after you're enlightened, as he says, there is still suffering and pain, but you have to, I'll read again his words. So when you see suffering, all you have to do is accept it and offer your body and mind to ultimate existence. Then you and suffering return to emptiness, and there is freedom from suffering. This is the same thing a lot of more mystical teachings kind of get into, is this idea that something has to be seen in truth, seen for what it is, brought to the light, so that it can be changed and transformed and move on. And the more that we want to hide aspects of ourselves or our life or our mind, either from others or more importantly from ourselves, the more that the change is not going to be allowed to flow in that area. Abraham Hicks, who is a name a lot of you tuning into this channel will probably be familiar with, Abraham is a being that this woman Esther Hicks channels. Abraham is a disembodied awareness or consciousness that she channels. And Abraham talks a lot about, I totally forgot what I was about to say. I haven't even smoked yet. It's 4:20. I haven't smoked today. It's 2 p.m. I usually blame forgetting what I'm about to say on smoking, but I totally lost the thread of what I was going on with there. But you have to bring things to the light in order for them to flow and change. Oh, Abraham Hicks was saying that in order to find kind of where your alignment is, or to find the path of like least resistance, become aware of your thoughts in a moment of a particular situation or a particular choice that you have. And she's very much about, or I should say Abraham through her is very much teaching becoming aware of yourself as vibration, and as a gateway to that, using your emotions as a barometer. You're not your emotions, you are your vibration. You are you are everything. You are source, you are the creator. But you are knowing yourself as a particular vibration in this moment that you're hearing this. And so with that, she says, use your emotions or how you feel, maybe even not emotions, because like satisfaction and dissatisfaction, I don't know if that's an emotion, but she's like saying use how you feel as kind of a barometer or a metric for how you're letting source flow through you. And she says, when you're comparing two things, compare a couple of thoughts, say this person doesn't like me and they don't like me because of this, so I should do that. She's like, how does that feel? Does that feel like it's flowing, or does that feel like it's restrictive? Does it feel like it's damming up? Or she didn't use this exact phraseology, but the idea was like, does the thought, does the vibration, does what you're engaging with feel like it's damming up a river, or does what you're engaging with feeling like it's letting your life flow and pulling you towards the next thing that's going to make you feel good? And I think that's very important, because when we are damming up our own river, what we're doing is breeding war horses. What we're doing is building, we're damming things, so we're building dams, of course. What we're doing is trying to control what is not controllable. And I found this to kind of be an interesting comparison when you're comparing your life or reality to a child, and you are the parent of this child. And a lot of us have emotional wounding and trauma around not being accepted as who we are as children. That our parents wanted us to be something different, to do something different. We were told, don't do that, or your opinion is not matter, that your opinion doesn't matter or is incorrect or whatever it is. A lot of us engaging in spiritual work or healing or whatever we would like to call aligning more to our source. A lot of us kind of have this wound that we weren't accepted as who we were. And so the mission has kind of become to accept ourselves and to accept everybody else. And I'm realizing I found this in artwork first, and then I kind of followed the breadcrumbs of the metaphor to realize, oh no, this is life too. Life is something that happens spontaneously and has its own agenda. Not just your life, but all life. The trees, the flowers, the weeds that grow on the lawn. Everything is just happening. It's just arising. It pops up out of nowhere just because it wants to. There's a seed and the conditions are met. There's sunlight, there's soil, there's water, and all of a sudden there's this flower that comes out. And what a lot of us do in our lives is look at that flower and say, it's not the right color. It should be a few shades more purple. And it shouldn't have so many leaves. And I don't want it right there. I want it 3 feet to the left. And if that flower had emotions, and if that flower had the ability to perceive what you were saying, and it cared, because it might even on some conscious level know what you're thinking about it, but I think they really just don't care, flowers or plants or anything. But to make it anthropomorphic, if this flower could hear what you were saying, it would be a horribly traumatized child, because you're telling it that everything that it is wrong and it needs to be different and it needs to meet your standards because its standards haven't been good enough. And I'm examining where I do that in my own life, and it's pretty much everywhere. In all aspects of my life, I'm looking at these flowers and I'm going, no, that's terrible. I don't like that kind of flower. I don't like your color. I don't like the way you're growing. You need to do it my way because my vision is the better vision for you. And that's a horrible thing to say to a child. It's a pretty terrible thing to say to a flower. And it's a terrible thing to say to your life. Or it's a terrible thing to say to life, which is everything that you are and are engaging with. And so if you would like to stop engaging with that energy, and since you get what you give in this universe, if you're engaging with that energy, you're going to meet people that treat you the same way. When you stop engaging with life in that way and you start seeing everything as a sunset, which I forget who had just said this, but I listen to so many podcasts, so I'm going to forget some names and sources sometimes, but I think it was one of the more recent interviews on Duncan Trussell's podcast where he's talking about, where the guest is talking about, you have to see people like a sunset, because when you look at a sunset, you don't say, well, that's pretty good, but it should be a little more orange to the right. The same thing as I just said with the flower, because that's the example that I was thinking, but I think with sunsets, a lot of us tend to really just appreciate them. Flowers too, but sunsets or the sky in particular, we don't really seem to have an idea that it should change. Maybe it's too cloudy or whatever, but you don't really look at a cloud and say it's the wrong shape. Maybe you don't want it there, but it's definitely never the wrong shape or expressing in the wrong way. And that's how you have to look at people, like the sunset. It's just always doing its own thing. It's always very unique, even if it looks similar a lot of days, which it doesn't in my opinion, but maybe it does to you, or where you're at in the world. Even if it looks similar, it's always unique, it's always different, and it's always, always, always perfect. Exactly how it is. And so are you, listening to this. And so is everything in your life and everyone in your life. And there is a thing called resonance, which maybe you don't feel yourself to be in perfection in your life because maybe you're out of alignment or out of a resonant tone with everything and everyone that's around you. Because on some certain level you've agreed to that, and that's how you're going to learn. And the more that you open yourself to gratitude of what's already in front of you and acceptance of what and who is already in front of you, the more that will actually be opening the flow and not damming the river. saying, oh, this is what's here, I love that it's here, we can do something different with it if we want, or we can even ask it what it wants to present as, and just your life starts unflowing in a way that, like he's talking about in that last chapter, that it can make it feel like you're not there, and it becomes very scary, or it becomes very high and light. But either way, like, it's a very different way of life, consciously, like in your awareness. On the surface, things might not look different for a little bit, but they're going to change very quickly if you really tune into this. But your life might look similar for a little bit, but you're noticing a very, I forget what the word for like qualia is, or qualia. Like, it's a very unique, qualitative, I guess I'll say. It's a very subjective, like, difference where you're like, oh, maybe nothing's different, but holy shit, I feel all right. I feel like everything's going okay, and everything's going to be okay. And then you keep watering that seed, because we live in a universe where things grow and things learn. You keep watering that seed, it will sprout and it will grow. But it's not even that you have to wait that long, because the vibrational shift, or the choice in consciousness, is immediate. And I'm feeling that I have run out of my content on what I have to say about that. So I'm going to thank Dainin Katagiri for the life that he lived. I'm going to thank him for his teachings and for the choices that he made that allowed this book to be possible and to be transmitted to me and everybody that is hearing it by proxy through me. And hopefully you pick up the book for yourself, because it's a fantastic book just to have. I don't know if he wrote other books. Well, he didn't technically write this one. There's an introduction where it's just it's a compilation of speeches that he gave at the Zen center that he worked at. And there might be more, or there might be more from the same Zen center, but now I'm just rambling. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit better. Hopefully you can feel your vibration lift a little bit lighter, and you can feel your vibration. Just know that you can. If you don't think that you can, or don't know if it's possible and want some permission, I am giving you permission. You can feel your vibration right now. Do this real quick. Make your hands like the Buddha mudra thing. I should know the name for this. Put them on your knees. Breathe. Feel your body. Feel your feet touching the floor or the couch or wherever they are, in your shoes and your socks. Feel your feet. Wiggle your toes. Feel your body. Feel your arms, whatever they're touching. Feel your hands touching your knees. Spread your awareness gently through your body in as many different places as you can feel at the same time. Feel your clothes touching your skin. Feel your hair touching your neck, or if it's not that long, just feel your head. Is it cold? Is it hot? And now, say these words if you wish. I am now feeling my own vibration. Breathe and feel what you feel. You can gently open your eyes now. I'm not going to put words to what you might have felt, but just know that it's valid, and it's the first step that you're taking to improving your life and making yourself more of service to your fellow man. Thank you for joining me. Hope you have a great day.